today's attorney tip, I want to talk to y'all about a buyer's loan denial letter and the rights that the seller may or may not have. So let's play a little hypothetical game. Let's say that the buyer was denied a loan from their original lender. And let's consider that there were no required approved lenders negotiated within the purchase and sell agreement. What can a seller do when the buyer has received notice that their loan is not approved? Let's also assume that the financing contingency has lapsed. Can the seller terminate? So jurisprudence suggests that the seller does not have the right to terminate. So typically, the seller has until the day of closing to perform. And what that means is, even with the buyer receiving a loan denial letter, the buyer has the option to seek additional financing. So you as the seller are not within your right to terminate solely based on the fact of that one loan denial letter. Now, what you can do as a seller is demand or request proof that the seller has the means to purchase the property. You don't know what could come up. The buyer could receive an unexpected inheritance. The buyer could receive a gift from a father or whatever. So because you as the seller have to give the buyer the right to perform until the day of closing, you could request proof that the buyer has the means to purchase the property. What that looks like depends. We'll talk about that in another video. Once that buyer receives that request from the seller, then the buyer must produce evidence that they have the ability to perform the contract. And by perform, we mean purchase. Now, if the buyer fails to provide that proof, then perhaps you as the seller are within your means according to the financing contingency in the GAR contract. So just to recap, what are your options as the seller if the buyer does receive that loan denial letter? Well, consider a mutual termination. Maybe you and the buyer will mutually agree to terminate, and whereby the buyer will receive the earnest money by mutual agreement. Other than that, you as the seller must give the buyer the right to perform up until the day of closing. Cristyl here, and I'll see you guys next time.